Yeah, YouTube is weird. My YouTube feed is weird. It's weird. And it is because of my weird YouTube feed that I found this gem of a topic. So yeah, the topic is immortality. It does exist, but not in humans. No form of human mortality exists as of right now. And our research shows human cells are designed to die. Like with 60 divisions, they will just perish. It just vaporize to protect from cancer. That's why we age. It's because our cells just die in 60 generations. But this is not what happens in some animals. Very few animals are resistant to natural degradation, which is what we call aging. Not aging in years of age, not that kind of aging, but natural degradation over a long period of time. Perfect example of this is lobsters, as they live, well, naturally can live 150 years and don't die because their body degrades. They die because when they become 150 years old, they're so big that when they leave their shells to grow up, they just die because that takes too much energy. And they actually get more physically fit as time goes on, which basically makes them immortal until, well, the faithful day that their energy runs out. So, this is one of the types of immortality where you don't degrade over time. Another form of immortality that is experienced by immortal jellyfish, that's basically the name of it. It's a small jellyfish which can reverse its aging in a sense, because jellyfish, when they born, they attach themselves to a hard surface and then make a cucumber looking thing and then break apart to form the floating jellyfish part thing. And when this specific species is damaged and physically damaged or feels threatened, it attaches itself to an object and then just says peace and just turns itself into a child, basically. Well, it's younger form of itself, which, well, achieves the same goal. And the reason that we age is mainly because of two reasons. Over time, our cells degrade and they just have to die. And when we become old enough, this stacks up, which causes us to perish. And another reason is our cells have a limited division time. Like they can only divide 60 times because their chromosomes have tips. The chromosome tips degrade, which we call telomeres, and they degrade to prevent cancer, because if these parts also signify where the chromosome starts and ends, so over time they degrade, and we don't the cell doesn't know where it starts and where it should end, so it doesn't divide anymore, it just dies. And this is, as I said, to prevent cancer. Like, I mean, if you're dead because of cancer, you're not going to multiply. That's the simplest reason. That is the reason why this happens. And it's a great example of the fact that natural selection does not give a damn about the individual. If you die, that's not natural selection's problem. If your kids die, that's the problem. So if naturally, if a creature has the correct situation, is created, well, it exists in the correct area so that it can exhibit immortality, it will. And that's because it has to multiply. Another thing of immortality is also longevity. A lesser form of immortality is longevity, which is experienced by many creatures like Greenland sharks, which have 500-year-old lifespans and are also vertebrates like us. Unlike most of the previous creatures I've talked about, these are vertebrates, and they live because they live long lives and don't degrade over their incredibly long times lifespan, because they have special molecule in their DNA that allows them to regenerate these telomeres, which in human exists, but in humans is suppressed because, again, it causes cancer. if it's unchecked. But in these animals, it is expressed more, which causes them to live longer. But again, in human, they're expressed as much because of cancer. That old hag. Anyways, and then another form of immortality that is experienced by plants, but it can't really be applied into humans. Immortality experienced by lobsters is being researched to be applied on humans because the immortality experienced by jellyfish, this particular type, the immortal jellyfish, is a very weird type of immortality which involves the cell of the jellyfish transforming into another type of cell. Like the one type of cell transforms into another type of cell, which basically never happens. Because the jellyfish is a fairly simple animal, a creature, that this can happen. But in humans cells, their future is determined as soon as they're made, and they can't really change. I mean, it has been done, but in laboratories, not in humans. It doesn't naturally happen in humans, only has been accomplished in laboratories. And the type that is the type of immortality that is present in trees is very interesting. Well, not immortality, but longevity. The longest living single non-clonal tree is a 5,000-year-old tree by the name of Methuselah. It's from a species of tree which is a very dense species of tree and is very resistant to infections and that sort of stuff. And it's really old because, well, these specific trees have being so compact and existing in such a dry, barren area that they don't have many predators, and because of their dryness, the area doesn't have any creatures that could infect it. And the longest living tree without any asterisks is in a 14,000-year-old tree by the name of Pando. It's a clonal tree, a tree that just clones itself. It's basically a giant forest of quaking aspens, which are trees which grow by making shoots of their parts, and then those separate parts grow up to become a full tree. And this is very close to asexual reproduction because these are clones. They're multiplying not multiplying. It's just one creature spanning hundreds of acres. And this is the oldest living tree. It covers the largest area, and these there are more of these type of trees that can be found in other areas. And in general, these plants can live for very long time because these are just clones of each other. So they can cover an entire forest with themselves, and there are also one creature. So by the rules of immortality, they can actually outlast most of the other species that I've talked about. Like, has probably outlasted both the immortal jellyfish and is older than the oldest lobster we know of. So that is to say that the ultimate form of immortality is cloning yourself for all of eternity, which is basically regeneration if you think about it. So that also counts as regeneration. And another form of immortality that is experienced by single cell organisms, it can't be replicated for larger organisms because the single cell organisms that I'm talking about are simple enough that they can, if they're frozen, can, they just stop, and if they're dried out, that's the same. And after they have been thawed out and or have been hydrated, they come back to life because the molecules that make them up are simple enough that if they have been hydrated or defrosted, they can come back to reproducing. And that is basically what life is. It's suspended animation. What this is, like, it can't be replicated for humans. Like, as far as we know, this is practically impossible. As you may or may not know, people are signing up for them to be frozen after death, which is practically, as far as we know, doesn't work because when you're frozen, your cells burst, and you can't really fix that. Now, can you? As far as we know, like maybe in the future, maybe somebody can do it, but probably it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to get to exist in the future. So yeah, I have no idea what YouTube thinks of me, and it is one of the reasons. It is the only reason that I came up with this topic. I'm really interested in immortality that's found in animals because human immortality doesn't exist as far as we know, and most animals aren't immortal, and the ones that are immortal because, as I said, natural selection does not give a damn about you. It only cares if you have kids, and you don't need to be immortal to have kids, now do you? And if you don't have to be mortal, then your kids don't have to be. And that's why immortality is not found in most living things, most creatures, and in humans especially. But for creatures that exist in a specific environment that allows them to adapt for immortality, have adapted for immortality, and do have incredibly long lifespans. And some even get fitter as they get older, not as humans. Humans do degrade over time, but some creatures actually improve over time. They get better at, well, surviving and multiplying. So, yeah, it's been fascinating to research about this topic, and I think I will talk about related topics further at a later date. So, yeah, that's about it for me. Bye.